You say that you have close to 300,000
yes.
names, and that list is definitely going to grow.
It's we're enumerating.
And it's going to be a recurrent expenditure, isn't that right?
Yes, it's going to be a recurrent
Well, I don't know if you have seen criticism from members of the House of Representatives who believe that there ought to be another way. And I know you've talked about the World Bank, which is a new perspective. I mean, no one was aware that part of the judgment, part of the clause of the judgment was that the World Bank would have to be involved. But they believe that the money should be given to the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee and distributed amongst the 3 tiers of government. What do you say to that idea?
Well, the Attorney General was actually led the discussions, and I know that there's nothing illegal about the money having been put in a dollar account. And actually what has delayed us is because we're trying to get an electronic end-to-end payment so that everything is transparent. Civil society has been trained on recovery, those that are specialized on recovery of assets. And we have civil society that we have selected in every state through Action Aid. And we actually welcome the scrutiny because we want to put a dent in poverty, And so all of this can be traced. We will share the numbers of the community facilitators with anybody that wants. They will lead you to the caregivers who receive these stipends every month and who receive the training. It's cash plus.
Mm. Well, that wasn't quite what I was asking, but let's go to Lagos now. I understand that we have another guest in Lagos with my colleagues. Chairman, over to you.
Well, yes, we've got Mr. Bolaji Ogunsheye, who is a development consultant. He's also been with some of these UN Sustainable Development Programs. Thank you for coming on this morning. Well, have a listen to some of the explanation there in terms of how they plan to make it transparent. Are you satisfied with what you heard?
Oh, yes. I mean, insofar as one has concerns about, if you like, helping to alleviate the worst of the sufferings of the poor, of the ultra poor, to that extent, yes, I'm reasonably satisfied. Especially, I've been impressed, I have to say, about the minutiae of implementation that I've heard. Because one of the problems, isn't it, has always been that the federal government has some of the best intervention programs, development ideas in the country. If you look at the hierarchy of capacity of our civil service, the MDAs, you have some of our best hands at the federal government. But again, they're so far from the grassroots. Do you understand? So when I've listened to Madam, the advisor, whatever, I have been impressed by how far down they've taken the trouble to go to address the minutiae of implementation. And that is all right to some extent, because you've got to help the poor anyway. I mean, the poverty grinds. But I think the larger issue, and I'm happy that she expressed worry at the beginning of her speech that some people use the word share, right? And so I'm not going to use the word share, because that word has cost us, or that concept, that idea, has cost this country much of the problem we have now. We've been sharing money instead of investing in transitional development.
So is this an investment?
No, it's not an investment in building the economy at the bottom of the pyramid. It's not. In other words, we're not consciously, deliberately building a foundational economy at the bottom of the socioeconomic structure, of the poverty pyramid that we have in this country, all right? Because we are a pyramid, which is the #1 sign, tick, tick, for a poor country. And if you're not careful, if you stay a pyramid, you're going to be permanently poor. You specialize in poverty, mass poverty. This is where we are now. We need investment plus what she's saying, right? What she's saying is, okay, you've got to help the poor, but we need the more overarching, deliberate, strategic macro policy investment in shifting numbers of people. It's an ongoing process, X number of people away from, the bottom to the next level, and this one shift, everybody shifts. I haven't seen that in this country. And let me be very precise. I have said, both here, everywhere, that for the elite who govern the economy, who manage the economy of this country, for them to show good faith, sincerity, that we really want to shift the conditions of mass poverty, and we want to begin to build the foundations of middle class, to expand that class, okay? They must directly invest part of the infrastructure spending, social, the buying of services by government. They must invest that at the grassroots. How do they do it? Yeah. I would, if I were president tomorrow, I would insist that X percentage of all the spending from the budget, okay, on contracts. It's not angels to take those contracts. They are Nigerians. Only there is only a few people who have been taken before who have been taken. I would set up holdcos in every local government, holding companies, and I will let them be owned through a very transparent process. You'll be picking ballots by the poor, the youth, the everybody, the unemployed. I will let them be the shareholders.
So isn't that a different program from this particular one? Are you saying that they could find a way to do that as well while going on with this CCC?
It's not that they could find it. They must find it. You see, because our challenge is not just to assist the poor, which is a good thing. Our challenge is to transit the poor socioeconomically upwards.
So for you, does this particular plan have any components wherein it will transit the poor from receiving this money from via CCT to the next level?
I used to be in the UN. What Africans in the UN used to complain about is that the West wants to help to maintain us in poverty. You know, make sure we don't die exactly. The poverty doesn't kill us. But, you know, within that poverty, grassroots development, you're going to be grassroots forever. No. Development must have a transitional, very strong, deliberate transitional component. You must be able to shift, you know.
So okay.
No, this is good. It's assisting the grassroots to continue to be grassroots. It's assisting the poor to stay in poverty.